Hey folks, it's Zach, and this is the next video in my How to Start Up a Level 60 player guide. This one's going to be a little bit more sniper specific, but you can feel free to watch this video and glean some information for the other different character classes, and feel free to use it. I'll try to go through this one a little quickly because if you're not playing a sniper, you're going to kind of feel like, well, what does this really have to do with me? But I will go to a few different locations in the menus here that may be very helpful for you to figure out, like, what does my character do and how do they do it. Alright, so if you just start up with a level 60 character, you had a character description that you saw when you created your character, but it didn't really tell you how to DPS or how to tank or how to heal on this character. So where do you go to start figuring those things out? Well, first up, I will tell you this. You need to take a look up here at this menu. It's K on your keyboard. It's the combat proficiencies menu up on the menu bar, and this is kind of, you know, if you're familiar with talent trees or skill trees, this is yours, okay? And automatically the game's going to put you into what it feels is the easiest to learn, most combat effective one for your starting class. Do I always agree with the one they put you in? Not always, but in this case, as a sniper, they put me into marksman. Marksman is a ranged, obviously because all sniper moves are ranged damage moveset that primarily focuses in on single targets. It also does have one of the absolute best AoEs in the game. It's a very great spec to learn. I enjoy it. It's also not terribly difficult, but it is pretty active. You got a lot of actions per minute. So I would say that if you are wondering like what your character class does, this is the first place to start. So in here, I can see all three different branches, but mine has already been pre-selected, and I can change this if I want from here in the fleet. That's another reason I pull you guys out to the fleet. You don't necessarily have to change your character and start over from scratch if you just want to walk up and you know, go to the combat proficiencies trainer and just change what it is that you do. All right, you can do that for free if you're a subscriber. You can't do that for free if you are not a subscriber. But what I'm asking you to do is, you'll see the discipline path. When you look through these, I highly recommend you read each tooltip. This is going to give you a great idea of how your moves in this skilled branch synergize. It'll make more sense once you get into combat, but briefly you can look through this and kind of get an idea of, okay, as I'm DPSing, as I've supposedly leveled, these are the moves I've been getting. So for marksman, you'll see the very first one they give you is called ambush. Really big tip, like when you see an activatable move at the start of your skill path, that is probably a core ability and one of your harder hitting abilities. As I go through this, you'll see a bunch of passives, and then you'll see something like penetrating blasts, another good one to have on your hotbar. So if you're looking through this, you'll see ambush, penetrating blasts, follow through, and sniper volley. Okay, those are the ones that I really want to highlight out that come to you as you level. So this is a really big hint that what you're doing as a marksman should rotate around these movesets. If you also read through here a bunch, you'll see that snipe plays a big part in the rotations. So those would be your core moves: ambush, penetrating blasts, follow through, sniper volley, and snipe. Okay? Everything else around that is a little bit more of what I call optional DPS, but those are your core abilities. So let's talk about those really fast. That's 5 different things to set up on the hotbar, so let's get to it. You're maybe looking at this left-hand column though. These are utility points. The game's going to give you some automatically. You're going to have to read through here and kind of pick what you want. I'll say right now that the automatic ones that they're giving you as a sniper aren't too bad. I would maybe make one switch depending on what it is that you're doing. But let's not worry about that so much. But if you are a sniper, I would say always make sure you have Imperial Efficiency. It's amazing. It makes your AoE into one of the best in the game. Okay, so here I am on my hotbar. Let's move some things around. I would recommend rifle shot is in your 1 key by default. I would actually keep that there. It's your basic standard shot. It doesn't do anything special, but it doesn't cost anything, and you can always use it on the move no matter what you're doing, in or out of cover. I always say keep it there just in case you need it. Take cover, I'm actually going to move that completely off all of my hotbars and never use it again, and I will show you why. Taking cover will make your sniper roll to a spot to find cover. This only applies to snipers, and it only, it's their bane. If you're raiding or doing any sort of, map side PvE, PvP, this is gonna get you killed because it rolls you to something close by automatically and takes the control out of your hands and puts it into fate. Okay, we don't want that. So what I'm gonna do instead is I'm gonna go to my key binding again, preferences, keybinds, and for targeting, the very first option is take cover in place. I'm going to erase one of these, okay, unbind, and instead I'm going to put in a button on my mouse configuration, my number slash, and I'm going to hit apply, okay. The reason I'm doing that, and I'll show you my character, is I like having it on my mouse. You can have it on any hotbar where you want, but as a sniper, you're going to want to take cover in place. You get all the defensive advantages of being in cover without rolling to anything or being in any strange place. You just drop right where you're standing. That gives you the positioning and the power. Okay? Alright, so let's get this hotbar set up. I got snipe. I'm going to move that from where it was to my 2 button. I'm going to move follow through to 3. I'm going to move ambush over to 6. I'm going to move penetrating blasts over to 4. And then I'm going to take sniper volley, which they put on a utility hotbar, and I'm going to put that on 5. Okay, so here I have on my top 6 abilities. I got rifle shot, snipe, follow through, penetrating blast, sniper volley, and ambush. Okay, right there, just those moves as is with cover is pretty much the main core of your rotation as a sniper. Okay, and now there's a lot of guys out there going like, hey, if you want to max out your DPS on SWTOR parse, or star parse, you're gonna have to blah blah blah. Yeah, of course you do. Okay, but for being combat effective right at the start of this game, those are your 6 moves as a marksman sniper. And I'll try to go through a bunch of those with other people, but what I want you to know is that right now, your 1 through 6 keys, regardless of what character class you're playing, those are the easiest ones to hit from your WSAD buttons. Okay? So you want to make sure that those are always, your most go-to moves in the core part of your rotation. So now, by the end of this video, you should now know that to find out what is the core for your character in the spec that they're in, you can go to the combat proficiencies menu, you can look through the menu items, or excuse me, the discipline items, see which the activatable moves are, okay, and start putting those on your hotbar. Those are all going to be pretty important, alright? And your utilities, I would definitely read up on the ones that are highlighted and change them as needed. And there's definitely guides for that at dolphy.net that I do recommend using. But for me as my sniper, he's basically pretty good to go. There's a few other things I change around. For me, I like having a few items on my mouse. If you're looking for recommendations, I like having distraction up on my mouse. I like having my AoE up on my mouse as well. I'm going to move escape over to my equal sign. You can put these wherever, but I kind of have a set configuration that I kind of like for a lot of these. Alright, and like shot, we'll move that off. Okay. Alright, so just as like an example, I have distraction in a place on my mouse where I can just immediately tap it. That's an interrupt. I have my AoE suppressive fire on one of my mouse buttons, so I can take cover using my mouse, and then I can immediately hit another button and start suppressing fire. It's one of the best AoEs in the game. You definitely want to have it close by. Let's see, my buffs. I like moving those to a utility bar. Things like buffs or recuperation abilities, that get your energy and health back. I like having those not on your main keys, okay? I really like really heavy-duty action items. Same thing with stances, like sprint. That just lets your character move at a faster pace. But things like that I have right now, like entrench, that I would definitely move onto a hotbar. Entrench is one of the core defensive abilities for a sniper. Okay, so as a general rule of thumb, attack items and defensive items that you're going to use a lot, I would put on these 2 hotbars after you've hotkeyed everything. And utility items like recuperate or items you don't think you're going to use very much, I would put those over to the side. To figure out what those items are, look through your skill tree. I can't tell you this enough. Look through your combat proficiencies, and this will tell you a whole lot about what your character does and what you will actually need. And then for further information, go to dolphy.net, look up your character specifically, and it will tell you about your character's rotations. You don't have to have it perfect, but look through the move sets of what it says about their priorities. So in my case, as a marksman sniper, they would say ambush, Penetrating blasts and snipe have huge priorities in the rotation. I would always make sure that those things are somewhere where I can always reach them. Alright guys, that's it for this video. What I'm going to do in between this video next is I'm going to go ahead and configure my hotbars a little bit so I can show you how to jump right into the action. But that'll be your next step. I do recommend doing this outside of the story so you're not having to figure this out as you go. And the next place I'm going to take you is a place where you can get some money, see some enemy types, and start trying out your configurations and make sure that they feel pretty good. Alright, guys, take care. This is Zach again. Feel free to like my page if you enjoyed it. And also subscribe. And if you guys want to jump into the Star Wars The Old Republic game and you haven't done it yet, feel free to use my new friend referral link. Peace out.